Everybody, it's the Mad Master here. Pardon my stuffiness. I'm just getting over a cold that it's weird because a couple weeks ago I had a cold and I had a far worse one. I came back. Maybe it's the virus, but who knows? I'm getting over it. I'm almost over it. But anyways, like I went home Wednesday night and I had a really bad fever and I was shuddering and shivering, and then it's a long story. So anyways, enough about being ill and stuff, because for the most part, other than being kind of stuffed up and having kind of some throat stuff, I think for the most part I'm about 75% there, probably about 80%. By tomorrow, hopefully be 100 or at least 90. So anyways, this is not about viruses or illnesses, but it is about a mental virus, about a mind virus of, I'm not exactly certain of the definition of what this is, but there is something going on with certain people in our discourse. And what I'm referring to, of course, is the whole Marilyn Manson, Evan Rachel Wood debacle that is unfolded. And I guess it was on the 19th, we had one of the accusers recant, back off of her, or she, recanted her testimony. I think that's the right terminology. She basically denied that it actually even happened. And she said, I was manipulated into doing this testimony against Marilyn Manson. Ashley Morgan Smithline, her name is. And I was thinking about this because I've been watching a lot of videos about that since I got interested in the Johnny Depp thing. And what happened with that was pretty ridiculous too. As far as all the accusations that went against Johnny Depp, who I think is a fascinating person. I bought a bunch of his movies when I was watching that trial. It was just like, I'd gotten into him before, but I wasn't, I kind of related to him in a lot of ways. Watching that, other than the drugs. Do it for the drugs. So I hate that song. Never mind. I don't know why they came in my head. That stupid new metal song. Do it for the drugs. Anyways, I'm not covering my mouth for anybody because I'm alone here, but whatever. It's just an automatic flex. So this whole thing just stinks to high heaven at this point. The thing is about these accusations against Marilyn Manson, like I was believing a lot of them, because in contrast to the Johnny Depp thing, like, oh, there seems to be something to this, there's and maybe it's because I'm not a particular fan of Marilyn Manson. I said in my video, I saw Open for 9 Inch Nails back in the day. I was like, yeah, it's missing something for me. I don't know what it is. I just never got it. I don't know, but people have their own opinions. They have the right to have those. So when I heard these accusations, I also kind of tied it into, I did read his autobiography because I found it, fascinating. There was a couple sadistic things that he did in there. So I was like, well, where there's smoke, there's fire. But over the months, I've been watching like Colonel Kurtz's, that's her, the name of her YouTube channel. I forgot her real name, Laura, I think it is. Her channel, and been watching, other commentary about it. I'm just like, okay, well, oh, maybe there's something more to the story and blah, 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 blah. Maybe it's not as black and white as the Evan Rachel Wood side is saying. But, after this news, I'm just totally convinced that Manson's likely innocent of the charges because of just the hubris that Evan Rachel Wood and company have got, dredged up in this situation. Because, the whole repressed memories thing is for anybody that has any memory. I don't know. I can't remember how old Evan Rachel Wood is. I think she was born in the 80s. I think she remembers some of the Satanic Panic, possibly. But anybody that was raised in the 80s remembers this whole notion, which goes into like ufology as well as like satanic conspiracy theories, like conspiracy theories about Satanism and stuff. And like this whole repressed memory thing is so controversial. I think even, what's her name? The cult leader woman, what is her name? Teal Swan, talks about these repressed memories and stuff. And like, it's like, the science is shaky at best about a lot of it. And I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I think there might be a chance that repressed memories exist. Like there is the notion that people can repress memories and stuff like that. But I think the evidence seems clear that it's not adults that are repressing memories, that it's so rare. Why would it happen to all these women? Unless he was doing some kind of like Svengali kind of NLP-ish, like hypnosis, Ross Jeffries, pickup artist, like you will not remember if this too. I'm just making a joke if you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, like I don't think that's been accused, or he's been accused of that. It's like, you probably repressed the memory. Like they told Ashley, like, oh, you probably you have to. You repress the memory. And they're telling all these people they repress all these memories. And it's pretty fishy. Now, I've done a little research on what Evan Rachel Wood is trying to do with all these political agendas and stuff. And as far as like, I probably repressed the memory. No, I'm just kidding. I don't remember exactly what the legislation was specifically, but I know it had something to do with the statute of limitations being reduced to like, or like no statute. I don't know if it went as far as no statute of limitations, or if it was like 25 years or something like that. I forgot what she was pushing in California, but there was a lot of these laws she was pushing, or these policy changes. And to me, it seemed very suspicious because it's like, and I'm not saying that this is just my theory. Okay, so I believe she has this agenda, or a hypothesis, I should say. She has an agenda, and it's a misandrist. This is going to sound crazy and some kind of incel bullshit, but this is, just bear with me here. She has this kind of misandrist agenda with regards to what she's pushing, and she doesn't care. It's like kind of like revolutionary tactics, sometimes. I don't know if Marxists do that. I don't think it's specific Marxists that talk about this, or I can't remember exactly. But like, she's trying to push this thing to push forward an agenda. I don't know if it's some kind of cult that she's in, or some kind of, ideological, like, religious thing, or just her being plain crazy, or whatever it is. I don't exactly know what it is. And I'm convinced that there's something seriously wrong with her and what was Ilma Gore. I think that was her like lover. I think there's something going on with them, that there's this weird dynamic that's way more sinister than, oh, she's just looking for attention or money, blah blah blah, from Marilyn Manson. I don't think that's what's going on. I think there's an actual agenda-driven narrative that she's trying to push. And I think it's very dangerous to push that. It's releasing all culpability from any kind of, SA, I'll just say. I don't know if I've used the word yet. Tyrannosaurus rexual assault. How about that? I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that sounded like it. I think she's trying to like release women from all culpability in that. And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to blame the victim. I think the pendulum swung, and that probably was the case, like the 50s and the 60s, like blame the victim, it's their fault, for what happens to them. It's the way they dressed, and that was bad. And people fought against it. But now the pendulum's gone so far, it's like no culpability and no responsibility on the part of the woman, or whatever you identify as far as the oppressed group. So it's it's pretty revealing that this has happened. Now, I feel like it's very liberating to men, especially, okay, I mean, as suspicious as it seems to with me saying this, because I think people were, I mean, Henry Cavill, of all people, talked about this with me too. And, you know, at first I was like, oh, he's probably just like, feels like, he's probably has some skeletons in his closet, so he's projecting his own fear of being busted or something. Like, even I was buying the narrative a little bit for a while. But, like, there's been this whole thing with the narratives that have been pushed that, oh, men can't approach women, blah, blah, blah. You're harassing a woman unless, it's like almost like Andrea Dworkin's idea of pure consent. Like, there's no penetration, like it's the way that she opens her vagina or something. I forgot, it's in her book. She's completely mad, or she was. But, like, it's like this whole thing has gotten so out of hand that we're standing on the precipice that there's some vindication now for people that have been, like Colonel Kurtz, like her channel. There's vindication for those who have been saying these other things about the whole thing. And at this point, we can realistically say that, at least in my life, how it appeals to me, it's like, oh, well, I can flirt with women, blah, blah, blah. It's not a crime. Dare I say I could date younger women if I choose to, if they want to date me. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I can do that. I don't feel entitled to them or entitled. People are always throwing around the word entitlement. You know who's entitled? Anyways, Evan Rachel Wood. It makes men feel more liberated from this constant magnifying glass that we've been under for the last 6-7 years, you know? I mean, and I'm not saying that things should return to some kind of misogynist, like, barefoot in the kitchen thing, or like rape or grape. I'll just say grape. Hopefully I didn't say too much with the YouTube algorithms. I don't care really. But hopefully we could return to a kind of an equilibrium, you know, of sorts with all that stuff. So I'm not going to feel afraid anymore about all that, you know. Not that I should have. People told me not to feel afraid. And, you know, there is fear, like Henry Cavill. It's like you do have empathy, so you don't want to seem like a creep, you know. You don't want to seem like a creeper, but it's like you're going to micromanage your every step because you don't want to seem like a creeper. And then there's blogs and all this stuff and all these people and all these movements. But this is like a glimpse of a period of time where, I mean, I would say this is almost like a return to sanity, you know, where things are going to be more balanced because the pendulum swung way too far to whatever you want to call it, left or right or whatever. I don't even like to think in those terms, like I said, that maybe we'll go towards the middle again, you know, because this whole thing about repressed memories, I mean, I thought that was a myth. Like the McMartin preschool thing, like they debunked repressed memories, and people were called fringe lunatics talking about like the UFO stuff. Like that sounds like like the UFO. You repress the memory, repress the memory of being in a UFO and getting anally probed, you know, by the gray, you know, when you were 6 years old or whatever. It's like, oh my God, you know, and her pulling all this repressed memory shit. Even if there might be some truth to repressed memories stuff, but it's very limited in its scope, like I've said before. This is great news. It's great news for men. It's great news for the gender balance, you know, the ethical dilemmas that we go through. It's actually a very liberating thing to hear that there is some justice being served with this whole thing, because I think there's some pure evil. Something's not right with this whole case. I'm not talking about Marilyn Manson's side. Marilyn Manson is, he's probably a douchebag. I mean, Rose McGowan has said not as such. She said he's a great, sweet man being in a relationship with, and that was the height of his popularity when he was on all sorts of drugs. And she said he never did anything bad. And she's like one of the authors of Me Too. You know, I really like her actually a lot as a person and stuff. And her in movies, you know. But anyways, yeah, there's some evil going on. I don't know. I can't pinpoint exactly what it is, but maybe we'll find out. That's about all.